This is a quick video on the proper setup of a total station, some proper care and handling tips. Isaiah is going to take the instrument out of the case with two hands here, making sure he's not knocking around inside the case there. He's going to carefully and gently set it on the tripod head, again, not vibrating that instrument on the head of the tripod, degrading the calibration. He's going to carefully thread the tripod screw into the bottom of the instrument, and as he is doing that, he's keeping a hand on the instrument so that at no time does that instrument have the opportunity to fall off the tripod. And he threads that screw in just lightly snug, just enough to hold the instrument, keep it from sliding around on top. If he over tightens that, you have the opportunity to bend that bottom plate of the instrument. So to continue with the setup here, he has turned on the laser plummet, and we have some easy instructions there. Laser plummet star F4. So he's pushing star F4, that turns on the laser plummet. And we can see down here we're missing our mark a little bit. And we're working on a floor bracket here because we are on a slick floor. For concrete floor, for terrazzo floor, tile floor, anything of that nature where the tripod would slip, we're going to use a floor bracket that way. If we were working out on dirt, on a rough sidewalk, asphalt, we would not use the bracket. You would step your entire weight on each point of the tripod to settle that in. To start with the setup in this manner, he's turning the screws, which had been zero balanced on the score lines previously. He's turning those screws to move that laser plummet to get it on its mark on our marker X there. Once he's accomplished that, he's going to go to the rough level setup using the clamps on the tripod. You can get that rough bubble set with nothing more than the clamps on the tripod, and that will reserve all of the adjustment in those posts to the end there, so you have fine adjustment and you're not fighting your auto compensator in that, or your tilt over compensator. So he now has the laser very close on its plummet location there, and he has the rough bubble in the circle there. So now at this point we're going to go to our pattern for our fine bubble setup. You see the fine bubble here, got a little dirt on there, but we're going to use a pattern of 2-1, 2-1. He's pointing out the corners, 2 corners to 2 screws. If he turns his thumbs towards each other, the bubble goes right. If he turns his thumbs away from each other, the bubble goes left. So he's going to do what's appropriate here to get this level on this plane. Then we're going to turn to one side, 1 screw. So I'm going to walk around here, and we are isolating now the one side of the instrument to the 1 screw. And we'll detail this in the class. This is just a quick visual on this. But the pattern is 2 corners, 2 screws, 1 side, 1 screw, and you'll make 1 lap all the way around the instrument to accomplish that. And of course, every adjustment you make can diminish another adjustment, so you have to drop back and check your optical plummet at each point of this setup. Optical plummet or laser plummet. Some of our instruments have one or the other. And also he made sure before he started turning anything at all that the horizontal lock was unlocked and that the vertical lock was unlocked. If these are locked and you try to turn it, you could potentially damage the instrument. It's kind of like a gears grinding sound. You don't want that. As you're getting familiar with the instrument, you might want to use the lightest method of turning this. Maybe just turn it with your pinky, and then you'll feel that it's locked, and remember to unlock that. There are score lines on these adjustments here on your fine adjustment. We always run that silver score line to the face of the lock when we're starting to work. That way we're reserving all that adjustment. You're not continually fighting running out of adjustment. So at this point he now has the laser plummet on. He was able to get his rough bubble set using the legs and clamps to get there. And a note about the clamps again, just as with the auto level, you want to make sure that that clamp is all the way down. If there's any possibility for that to slide when it's clamped, as you put pressure on it, we have to make an adjustment on that nut, maybe half a turn to tighten that up. So just a care and handling tip there. So at this point, we're set up and ready to work. care and handling as far as the locks, we mentioned that, and any concerns with the tripod clamps and over tightening the bottom nut on the instrument. So now we're going to carefully take this apart and put it back in the box, and we'll talk a little bit about that. He's turning everything off. He's going to make sure everything is zero balanced. He's going to make sure that everything is unlocked. And then at that point, he will keep a hand on the top of the instrument and unscrew that thread entirely from the instrument. If he leaves one thread hanging in there and tries to pull that instrument off, it's going to make a negative slam, kind of like a slide hammer, and you can pull the instrument apart to a degree, diminish the calibration, damage the mechanical capability of the instrument. So once he has that unthreaded, we're ready to put it back in the box. And we have a couple of alignment dots on here, and if we can see those, there's two white dots that need to be aligned. If we can't see them here, I'll show you in the field. But once that happens, this will only go back into the case one way. He's going to carefully set it in with two hands, not knocking it around in the case, and he's going to carefully just drop the lid. It should fall shut. And if it doesn't fall shut, we need to reopen and rework that instrument and make sure that it does. We don't want to push the lid down like a vacation suitcase and bend the instrument. So once it's in there, he's going to clamp those and make sure they're clamped anytime the instrument is in that case. Someone could walk by and pick up a case that's unclamped and the instrument comes tumbling out, damaging the instrument. If a total station hits the ground, generally speaking, a cheap repair is $2,500. So we need to keep that in mind anytime we're handling this. This tool to buy new is probably $8,500. So consider that, the cost of that. We don't want to put a wet instrument back into a case. If we do that, you're kind of creating a steam chamber for that instrument to reside in until you pull it out again. If it spends the night in a wet case like that, it's likely going to steam up the internals of the instrument, the optics. You won't be able to see through it for several days. So always keep that in mind. A safe way to handle that is to leave it in the case with the lid open inside an office with heat where it can dry out. Put it in a place where it's not going to get knocked off of a table or stepped on. That is the basics, care and handling setup of a total station. Obviously, even in the case, you want to handle it gently. Don't toss it in the back of a pickup truck or set it down hard on the ground. All those things can diminish the calibration of the instrument. We'll talk some finer details on the proper use of the tool in the class. Thanks.